Hey everyone, it's me, Gazbot, and it's March of Robots 2018. I've got an Uzi cat on my lap, and we're going over just 2 days today, day 13 and 14. So let's hop to it. And don't forget, you can check out the link here and below for my Etsy store, where, you can buy things, of course, but you can also vote and control me and make me do robots you want. Why not? There's some spots left. Yes.
All right, first up, what I'm working on here is the Hyper Lion Zord? I forget the exact title, but it's a Lion Zord with Hyper in it. You can see I have my reference on the left. This is from Power Rangers Hyperforce, which is not an actual TV show. It is a Twitch show, which I actually watched the rebroadcast on YouTube. And it's sort of a tabletop role-playing game of Power Rangers, but it's canon, like it counts as part of Saban's official, legacy of Power Rangers. And I found out because of Andre Meadows, Black Nerd Comedy. He's a YouTuber I follow, and he got to be the Blue Ranger. And there are two other YouTubers on there, which I had not previously known who are other characters. And then there is Paul Shearer, I'm probably saying his name wrong, who played Bulk on Power Rangers. He is the Yellow Ranger. And then Peter, I can't remember his last name. It's Sardio. I'm getting it wrong. I'm sorry, but he plays the current Blue Ranger on Ninja Steel that's on TV right now. He plays the Red Ranger in it. So anyway, it's sort of an official, unofficial team, and you watch them role play, but they're all kind of comedic people, so it's funny, and it's honestly I'm enjoying it more than the current season of the show.
So what is going on? Well, it's 1 in the morning. I'm making a cup of coffee, decaf. As I've said before, I'm kind of off caffeine, 90% off anyway. Once in a while, I still need some, but not just when it's 1 o'clock in the morning and I haven't had more than 4 hours sleep the night before and I'm just working. This is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when I have to drive or something like that. This is just for flavor and because I'm taking a break. And why am I taking a break? Well, I was doing the March of Robots as you were watching, and basically my computer kept crashing and giving me problems. So I stopped recording and I thought that was it. But that aside, I came back and worked for another half hour and lost all of that. I think my computer's getting a little full of files and stuff like that, among other things. But this is all kind of secondary. I've maybe lost a half hour, 45 minutes of work because it crashed twice. Maybe less, it's frustrating. But the bigger problem is the subject matter I chose. As I said, I've been trying to kind of stretch myself and do different things. And I picked something that's hard for several reasons. What I was trying to do, and still am, is the Hyper Lion Zord, I believe it's called. Hyperforce is a Power Ranger series that isn't on TV. It's a live action, well, it's not a live action, it's a role-playing game, like a tabletop, like Dungeons and Dragons, but it's Power Rangers. And there's a set cast of people to play on this streaming channel called Hyper RPG, and they have lots of different role-playing games, but this is the Power Rangers one that they just invented. And it's sort of a time-traveling team, and it's all new Rangers, and they have like an illustration of each one, and two of the actors are Power Ranger actors, one of them is a YouTube star, I know, 2 of them are YouTube stars, I don't know. But anyway, I'm really enjoying it more than I do several of the more recent seasons. And I have previously sketched a helmet of one of the characters, and they just recently got Zords and Megazords, but they don't show you what they look like. And I'm like, oh, I should draw that. And eventually I found that they did have reference. Somebody drew them, the Zords, but they're very cartoony, very simple, kind of like what you'd see on, I guess, 90s Power Rangers, tablecloth or something. And there's only one view, and it's really low res, so when I try to blow up and get details, I can't. Now, okay, why is this difficult? A couple reasons. One, I'm basically trying to draw a Zord that no one's drawn before, except for this one, I don't want to say bad drawing, like make fun of the artist, but a bad quality, low res image without a lot of detail, no turnarounds. 2, I'm trying to do it in a pose that it's not in. It's a lion, so I'm trying to create like a cool lion pose for it to be in. 3, I'm basically trying to draw a Zord without any reference, but just enough that I can't be making it up. It has to match that one piece of reference that exists, and I'm trying to match that. And on top of that, I'm trying to make it look like a lion cat in a cat-like pose, which is not something I'm especially good at either. I've been studying cats a little bit more recently because I would like to be better drawing at cats, but it's not something I'm particularly good at. So I'm trying to draw a cat, which I'm not good at. I'm trying to draw a Zord, which doesn't exist technically yet. Oh my God, you see this? Speaking of cats, can you just pose for me and turn into a red robot? The point is, I keep redoing the pose. If I had been videoing it, you would see I've redrawn it like 17 times. And I keep moving the arm. And then, oh, well, this looks kind of like a cool pose, but it makes no sense for like how a cat would stand. It looks more like a cat man, which it's not supposed to be. So then I erase that. And I'm like, oh, this kind of works as a cat, but now it doesn't look like the robot. Oh, this kind of works as a cat robot, but all the parts are different from that one piece of reference I have. And I've been going around and around like this for hours and hours. And I have a rough sketch, like a pencil sketch at this point, that I'm not even happy with. I'm not being paid for this. And this isn't really part of the challenge. I several times thought to myself, hey, guys, you got 4 hours sleep last night. You've been doing this every day. You did some client work earlier. You did other things with your day. You've been productive. Just draw a fun little robot. You could draw a robot in your sleep. You could draw a robot in 15 minutes that'll be better than what you've been doing for hours. And everybody will go, hey, nice little robot. And I'm not, because that wouldn't be taking the challenge seriously. My challenge, again, the rules of the challenge don't say this at all, but what I'm trying to do for myself, what I'm trying to better myself. And it's funny because I was watching a video Scott Circlin put up recently. He and Marshall Lee are doing a thing called Take Me to Your Later Tuesday, where they do evil aliens every Tuesday. But he was talking about art block and the war on art block and then the controversy of art block and is there such a thing as art block? And I don't think there's such a thing as art block. What I'm having today is the closest thing to art block. But what that means is I'm having trouble drawing what I want because of limitations in my skill, my reference, my ability to coalesce multiple sources into one, my ability to focus, maybe because I didn't have enough sleep, my brain isn't working quite as well as it should. But I'm not sitting around going, oh, I'm not feeling it, or it's not coming out good enough, so I'm going to stop. I've been drawing all day. I've been working all day. It's been hard. It's been frustrating. I'm unhappy with the results. And even now where I can kind of see the light at the end of the tunnel, I'm going to put it up and it'll probably be one of my least favorite drawings I've done all month, but it'll be done and it'll be done as good as I can in this day. That's art block. That's art block. Working really hard when you're frustrated and getting something done that maybe you're not happy with because you have to get it done because you're a professional, even if you're not being paid. Anyway, back to the normal stuff.
Eventually they get Zords, just like in the regular show. And so they have 5 Zords that combine into a major Megazord. But I wanted to do the Red Lion Zord, which you see me working on here. And it was I want to kind of do a mechanical cat was my idea, but then I wanted to actually do a Zord, and I've been into the show, so I wanted to do a piece of art for that, and blah 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 blah. That's why I decided to do it. But I don't know how much you've been watching the screen, but I was struggling. And you can see my reference on the left, the top left, like the big red line there. That is the only official art for it. And so I had to fill in some gaps, and I also wanted to put it in like more of a cat-like pose that I was struggling with, and it went back and forth. But eventually, by stop trying to copy this pose where he's sort of like roaring, which is like I found it, and I think it's a CGI image, and it sort of makes me think of Aslan from that movie. The movie, you know the one, with the lion and the witch in the wardrobe. That's the one. So it made me think of that, but that's not a very natural, real pose for a cat to have, I guess, or at least not one that I could find. So I ended up tweaking it a bit and putting the paws more in front of it, and it's tough because it was a difficult thing to do, and I was really struggling with it. And you're actually looking at about 3 hours of art compressed at 32 times, but as I said, I missed a chunk in the middle where my computer crashed. I don't know how much. This might have taken me 5 hours. It way too long for what I came out with. I'm not displeased with the result. It's not a terrible drawing. It's decent. I'm not like ashamed of it, but it's not really what I had in mind. I'm not confident how well it represents the Zord in terms of what it's supposed to look like, and the time put in. Like if I had put in 3 hours, I'd be like, okay, this is pretty good. But since it took me, I'm guessing 5 hours, and it was just very frustrating. I don't know, and that's how you grow as an artist, of course, by trying to do things that you're not good at. But I think I took on too much, and I'm kind of repeating myself for my little exasperated thing before. What I did like though is I'm spotting these blacks pretty good, and this is something I've been trying to concentrate more and more on, especially with robots, is have heavy blacks, which may or may not be realistic, but it definitely conveys this is flat metal. There's no gradient of shadow on this, and it pops it out more. I need to do it more in my organic stuff too, but I do think making a point of doing it on robots is a good first step. So that day was a big bummer of a butt. The next day I decided to sort of go easy on myself. What I'm working on here is a character from my comic, The Horror A4, that has not yet appeared. This is a character that will be in issue 3. I'm saying character, but it's a robot. And it is, if you look on the left, I had previously done the design, the big mech there, that's like half inked. That is basically the design I came up with. And so My original thought was I'm going to redesign it, make it better, but I wanted to incorporate other pieces of technology from that world that I've created. So there's a small colored robot on the top right there, which is like a corporate police mech, and then there's these mech tanks that I had done. And so I wanted to take the basic robot I had done, which I didn't hate, but I wanted to incorporate elements of other technology because the idea is that it's sort of a hodgepodge. It's put together from available technology. It's not created brand new. It's like we need a big robot. Let's take these robots we have and make it a big robot. And there you can see I kind of did the redesign. It's not horribly different. I gave it a claw hand and I kind of changed some of the connections and things like that. But then I decided this is supposed to be a giant robot, so I wanted to try to instead of just read. I could have ended there, but I would end up having like kind of a flat redesign that'd be very similar to the drawing I already had. And while it would be good for my design purposes for the comic, I wanted to have an interesting picture to show for March of Robots. So then I decided to try to get a more dynamic picture, sort of a down shot to imply that it's large. I don't know how well I did, getting across the scale, but I kind of let that go and decided to just sort of do a little bit more than a waist up, kind of a bust shot, and sort of a cool dynamic image. But at the same time, I'm still I don't want to say redesigning, but finalizing the design. So as you can see, I'm sort of inking, but I'm also like deciding where pieces go and what pieces are going to be finalized because between these two drawings, I will use these as reference when I work on issue 3 and this, I keep calling it a character, but this robot comes along. And here you can see I put the head on a different level because I wanted to be able to change it around and move it a bit. So I put, this is me putting red, so I put a white layer underneath it so that I could lay it on top because I wanted to put all these details on the inside of like what would be the neck and like the shoulder blades and stuff if it was a human, and I want to just be able to move the head on there because I wasn't 100% sure where I wanted it. And I was stuck trying to go halfway between wanting to make it detailed and good and not be lazy about it, but I didn't want to just put in a million lines in details for no reason. So I tried to have a purpose in mind for everything. And again, here I gave him one big claw hand, and then I gave him another more of a real hand, but it still has like three big chunky hand claws because originally I was giving it more like a human hand, which is like what you'd see in Gundam or other traditional giant super robots. But it seems like that would be a lot harder technology to come up with. Oh, I think the computer's crashed right there. A lot harder technology to come up with on the fly, and also that would be more for scientific manipulation or exploration. This is designed to be a battle bot. Why would it need 5 fingers? I guess arguably if it had a gun to fire, which it doesn't, but even if it did, it would have just some big heavy crazy trigger that you could pull with one finger or have it mounted on the arm. um, but again, there is no gun that needs to be worried about right now. Excuse me. So when I'm doing robots like this, when I'm creating them, aside from the story elements I had and aside from certain design aesthetics, I try to make things basically symmetrical. That being, even though I just explained how I did the two hands differently, but I find when I do monsters and things like that, I try to be asymmetrical. In other words, I don't want everything to look the same on both sides. I don't want it to be too even. It makes it look more organic, especially if it's a zombie or something that looks all messed up. But robots and mechanical things, even if you're inventing the technology, even if the pistons don't make sense the way they go, and I do try to think like how would this work, but I'm not an engineer, so I don't know. But I do find that if you mimic everything and mirror it and make it symmetrical, it looks right. Because if it has all the same kind of gear on the pistons of the left arm as it does on the right arm, it's like, well, whatever that is, it's even. And originally I thought I might take this to the drawing table and actually ink it traditionally, but when I started putting in the grays, I liked the idea of keeping it digital and just doing like a nice grayscale piece. And my comic is in black and white and gray, so this mimics very close what it would look like in the comic. Again, sort of, I always talk about the old Ninja Turtle books and independent comics back in the day, and that's an aesthetic I like very much. And here I'm just putting a little bit of background, and that kind of much did it. That kind of much did it. This took me about 3 hours, but I did kind of 2 full drawings and designed it, and it was a joy to do, as opposed to the Red Lion Zord, which was very difficult. Anyway, back to Gazbot in the studio.
And there you have it. March of Robots. More to come. More to come. And if you want to follow me real time, I post on Facebook, I post on Instagram, I post on Twitter, I post on Tumblr. All those links are below. These are just recaps that are done, after the fact. Ha!